Aren't the rays here just great? I could sit here forever. I have a lot of free time, and I usually can't do much with it except for contemplating, so it's a good thing that it's one of my favorite things to do. Some will say that rational thought is a curse, but I don't think that the first creature who became self-aware felt too lonely. He was probably busy dreaming wonders with his new mind. I just can't wrap my head around the species that aren't able to think for themselves. It'd be like living without existing. Doesn't the thought of it terrify you? Thank goodness I have my mind to keep me company. I'd be quite lost without it. Once in a while, we all need to get back to our roots. At one point, we were all just balls of bloop floating around in a mud pool, until one day, some of us decided that floating to get from place to place was too inconvenient. So we grew legs and tails. Primeval Earth was an unrelenting ball of undergrowth and fangs that our ancestors had to brave their way through on a day-to-day basis, hiding from gargantuan beasts and murderous plants, foraging for the raw, bloody cockroaches and vitamin-enriched soil they consumed to survive. But in the lapses of fear and peril, did they too crouch down when they encountered an ancient flower so they could breathe in and cherish the scent? I have no idea of what a higher being would look like. But I enjoy toying with the idea that they exist, and that sometimes they check on us to see what we're doing. But don't get me wrong, there's no need to treat any of it as a matter of faith. Everything that we see as divine or supernatural can be found within ourselves. Do I view humans as higher beings? Potentially, but I usually say no. I mean, take a look at them. They don't know any better than we do, and they make twice as many mistakes. That doesn't sound like the description of an omniscient species, if you ask me. I don't understand the stigma that's attached to the idea of being a pet. The only thing that's guaranteed in a pet-owner relationship is the decision of one to acquire the other. Just like how the only thing that's guaranteed in a parent-child relationship is biological. And sometimes, not even that. Personally, I don't engage much with my flatmate. We make the necessary interactions, then kind of stay out of each other's way. Of course, I can't speak for all of us. Loneliness is a fact of life. Let's not deny that. An existence without solitude would be like a river without sand. You wouldn't be the same without those moments when you're forced to sit down and have a conversation with yourself. I think those who are constantly trying to fill their lives with only the presence of others are pretty silly. As if spending time with oneself is the most terrifying experiences one can have. I personally think being alone has the potential to be very rewarding. In fact, I don't remember a single point where I haven't spent the majority of my time by myself. Of course, that doesn't mean I don't sometimes indulge in the finer joys of life. Although in reality we're a very large and diversified order, most will confuse the different types of gecko and group them into one homogeneous group. Here's my take on some select species inspired by various encounters I've made throughout my life. Made known to humans by German herpetologist K.L. Koch in 1954, comes in dark green hues, most likely of all geckos to feel insecure due to their weight. From Tokay, their scientific name is gecko, have very open minds and are the most fun to hang out with. Originated from the highlands and deserts of Central Asia, lack the adhesive toe pads common in other gecko variations, can be found midday dwelling in the shade of rock formations in reflective thought. I am personally of the species. I met one of these geckos in his travels a long time ago. He seemed like a well-mannered and cultured individual. We made conversation for about 10 minutes before he had to leave for his daily afternoon sun connoisseuring session. Probably the most pretentious and elitist creatures in the lizard world, avoid conversation at all costs. Endemic to Japan, have the most beautiful eyes of any gecko species, in my opinion. I respect them immensely. Some of the most energetic and excitable critters you will ever encounter, have a tendency to dwell in pairs and can be found just about anywhere around the globe. An ancient strain, the wisest of all geckos. You will never find one of these sages lost. Exploring all that's within your realm of reach is the most important thing you can do in your lifetime. Traveling the unaccustomed is the only way you get to develop new understanding of the places you normally spend your days in. And that's when you discover any need for change. Bottom line is, adventurousness may yet save your life. There are days when you feel energy pulsating through your arteries, when you feel like sleep is beyond you, where your body is nothing but the vehicle to springboard you to success. And there's only one thing standing between you and your goals, your fear of failure. Once that menace of dread is dispelled, the unachievable no longer exists. Sometimes at the end of the day, there's nothing that you feel more like doing than crawling back into the warmth of your shelter.